Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka MBT, and this is not Locals Live, you may have noticed. My cameraman's in Japan. And he's not just my cameraman, he's the only person in this household with a car, so I haven't been able to get to Locals recently. However, I thought, well, why not use this lack of footage as an opportunity? So today, in lieu of Locals Live, we're going to be doing a hero primer. While I appreciate many of the combo guides that are already on YouTube, I feel like they don't go deep enough. This will hopefully give you the tools necessary to understand the rudimentary plays of Hero and how the deck stacks up against the current metagame. I'll timestamp these below, but we'll go through a deck list, the fundamentals of the deck, combos, a how-to-play guide against current hand traps and meta strategies, and finally, some test hands. Enjoy the video, and if you'd like to see more like it, please sound off in the comments below, and I'll think about integrating it into my normal schedule. So any good deck overview should probably begin with an overview of a deck. Let's check out Hero. This is my personal build of the deck, and I should stress it should not be taken as the be-all end-all or even the optimal version of the build. My build specifically is very bare bones. It's playing very few frills, and as we all know, Hero has no shortage of impressively powerful options you can add in order to increase the ceiling or personalize the particular strategy you're playing. As a result, this list is basically just to establish a starting line with which we can understand combos. So without further ado, let's get into the monsters. We're on 3 copies of Elemental Hero Stratos. This should come as no surprise. This card is impressively powerful. On summon, it can search a hero from your deck to your hand, usually Vision Hero Faris, and it has a second effect which allows you to pop spells and traps your opponents control. Next, we have a card that should probably be limited, Destiny Hero Malicious. It can be banished from the graveyard to summon a Malicious from deck. This card is critical to Link setups, most specifically Cross Crusader, and because it's a Destiny Hero, its typing is important for a couple of fusions as well. After that is, let's be honest, the only reason that people care about this archetype in 2020, Vision Hero Faris. This card allows you to discard a hero from your hand to the graveyard in order to special summon itself, then when summoned, can set a Vision hero from your deck into your spell and trap card zone. We always pick Increase. We're at 2 because I fear God. Increase, as a continuous trap, can tribute a hero you control to special summon itself, and then special summon a Vision hero from your deck. We pick Vion. Vion on summon can send a hero to the graveyard and then can banish a hero in the graveyard to add a polymerization to hand. Usually we're either sending Malicious or our next card, Shadow Mist. This card is familiar for anyone who played the deck in Darklaw days. It is back, both searching Mask Change on certain boards and also enabling additional searches. Next, we have a slew of one-ofs, a couple of Destiny heroes, Celestial and Dynatag. These are both important for specifically Dystopia setups. Destiny Hero Plasma, which is one of our many win conditions. Elemental Hero Solid Soldier and Liquid Soldier. These are 2 impressively powerful searchable options off of E-Call that enable not only Darklaw setups, but also huge board building. Elemental Hero Honest Neos, this card enables OTKs and turns on Dystopia. And finally, and this is non-negotiable, Evil Hero Adusted Gold. This makes Malicious Bane and also makes your landlord mad at you. Next, onto the spells and traps. First, we're playing 3 Fusion Destiny, which is potentially the most misunderstood card in the entire list. Yes, it's impressively powerful. It can send Destiny Hero monsters from your deck to the graveyard that are listed on a Destiny Hero Fusion in your extra deck, which usually means you're going into Dystopia, activating the graveyard effect of Dynatag, and then popping an opponent's spell or trap before committing to a critical combo line. But it's better to conceptualize this card as a double Foolish Burial. Because you're on Destiny Hero Dangerous in the extra deck, you can use it to send both Malicious and Shadow Mist, netting you a search as part of a combo that usually ends on Dystopia anyway. Next is 3 copies of Mask Change, doing double duty here. It massively improves the ceiling of any of your plays, but also is kind of called by the grave. If your opponent has targeting monster effect negation, you can Mask Change in response and still get your effects off. Next is a card I'm sure I'm going to get flamed for, 3E Emergency Call. This has a pretty shallow search pool. It can only get Stratos, Shadow Mist, Honest Neos, Liquid Soldier, and Solid Soldier. Because of this, many lists have shaved this to 2 or even 1 in conjunction with 2 or 3 or 1 Stratoses. I still play 3 just because I like the deck to be as consistent as possible, but if you're looking for places to shave individual cards, this is it. After that, we're on 1 reinforcement of the army, a similarly shallow search pool, but it's different. You can get Celestial, for example. Followed by a Hero Lives, Polymerization, Miracle Fusion, and Dark Calling. All 3 of these fusion spells are searchable through the course of our combos. Dark Calling by Adusted, Polymerization by Vion, and Miracle Fusion from Sunrise. Upstart Goblin because I want to play a 39-card deck, and 3 evenly matched for the unlikely event that we are forced to go second. After that, our extra deck looks like 2 copies of Cross Crusader, potentially the most powerful hero monster ever printed. This card has 2 extremely powerful effects. Firstly, it's able to reborn on summon a Destiny hero from your graveyard, and secondly, it can tribute a Destiny hero you control to add a hero monster with a different name from your deck to your hand. Importantly, it can bring back monsters that have been Fusion Destinied before their due date, and importantly, with Malicious specifically, it's incredibly busted as it's able to not only bring back Maliciouses in graveyard, but turn them into raw advantage. After that is Extra Hero Wonder Driver. I've seen a lot of players cutting this monster specifically, and I wonder why. It's so critical to repeatable Darklaw setups, which is your win condition against a large portion of the metagame. Finally, for Link monsters, we're on 1 Dread Decimator. It's a 3-mat that increases the attack of monsters it points to as well as itself. It's not good, but it turns on Dystopia. Speaking of, our next card is Destiny Hero Dystopia. This card has 2 effects. Firstly, when it's summoned, you can target a Destiny hero monster that's level 4 or lower in your graveyard and deal damage to your opponent equal to that monster's level times 400. It's one of the ways you win in time. More importantly, however, if its attack is different than its normal attack, you can Drident your opponent as a quick effect. Destiny Hero Dangerous basically exists as a Fusion Destiny target. Next we have Masked Heroes, Masked Hero Anki for OTKs, and Double Darklaw because we need it to be repeatable in case they threaten the first one, and we always have an additional copy of Mask Change set as a result of Wonder Driver. We're also playing Masked Hero Acid in order to blow out opponents playing back row, Masked Hero Blast so our Stratos doesn't get negated, Diane for our Solid Soldier. Finally, we're on Elemental Hero Sunrise, which on summon adds a Miracle Fusion from your deck to your hand, and when it attacks can remove your opponent's cards from the field, and okay, so this should probably be Ab-Zero. Elemental Hero Great Tornado is my Miracle Fusion target because I found personally that while Ab-Zero is an intensely powerful card, most boards these days resist destruction in one way or another, and more importantly, it's really hard to get a water monster into your graveyard. Inversely, you always have Stratos at your disposal. Finally, we are on 1 copy of Malicious Bane, important for OTKs, important for removing problem monsters, non-negotiable, and also like $100. Learning to play hero involves asking yourself the right questions. And no, why did I spend $900 on a tier 3 deck is not the right question. Elemental Hero is a non-linear combo deck. What this means is that the strength of its end board and the options you go into are largely dependent on your hand. As a result, you'll need to keep mental note and have an innate sense of which monster effects you'll be activating over the course of the turn, how you will hit critical combo checkpoints, which dichotomous effects you will choose to use, and most importantly, what your end board will be based on your opponent's strategy and your opener. Let's go over some of these questions now. Firstly, I would like to add a disclaimer. Avoid the temptation of blinding second. I understand the deck has access to Trinity. I get that he's a very large bungus, and it would be alluring to attack into Galatea 3 times in a row, destroying your opponent in one fell swoop. No competent deck will allow you to do that. Imagine chewing through an Appaloosa. Now imagine doing that every game. That's your life if you choose to blind second. I would put more faith in the end boards of this deck than its ability to OTK. With that out of the way, your first question should be, how am I getting to Faris? Vision Hero Faris is critical to almost the entirety of the deck. Its combo lines are completely dependent on summoning multiple monsters, and no one does it better than Faris. Unfortunately, there are very few searchers for this card. As a result, you may have to waste your normal summon on a copy of Stratos, or a potential bin, something like a Fusion Destiny, on an Elemental Hero Shadow Mist. Getting Faris in hand early is critical, but necessary to win the game. Your second question should be, how am I getting Malicious into the graveyard? Destiny Hero Malicious is an incredibly powerful card. It is critical to Cross Crusader setups and getting the most out of its effect. As a result, having it in graveyard is a necessary step to victory, but getting it there is no easy task. If it's in hand, you'll want to integrate it into a Faris setup, discarding it that way. You can also use Fusion Destiny or Vion's effect to put it into the graveyard. But remember, anytime you use a bin, you are necessarily discounting something like a Shadow Mist, so plan your searches accordingly. Your third question should be, what am I normal summoning? You have 3 extremely powerful options when considering this question, and they're not necessarily mutually exclusive. Elemental Hero Liquid Soldier, Elemental Hero Solid Soldier, and Elemental Hero Stratos. Liquid Soldier is good for very specific Dark Law setups where you can get a Shadow Mist in graveyard without using your normal. Solid Soldier is extremely good if you are trying to special summon a Shadow Mist from hand, or special summon a Stratos from hand in order to trigger its effect. It's extra material, and its second effect allows you to special summon a Shadow Mist from graveyard if it's used as material for a fusion summon. Again, plan accordingly because that's your only polymerization. Stratos is all around good, but do you want to use it as your normal summon before or after going for Faris? Is it necessary for getting to Faris? Are you able to use its spell and trap destruction effect profitably? Be considering all of these things when selecting your normal summon. Next, which effect of Shadow Mist are you using? Dark Law is an extremely powerful card in the metagame. Orchist, Spiral, Salamangrate, all of them have problems with Macrocosmos. However, routinely you need to ensure you will be able to add a card from your deck to your hand, and therefore will use the other effect of Shadow Mist. Understand which effect you are using and play accordingly. You don't want to put it into the graveyard with Vion for a Liquid Reborn later just to forget about it entirely. Which polymerization target will you be using? You've only got one polymerization, and while it is accessible at all stages of the game, you have to decide if you're making Dystopia or Sunriser. Both of them are extremely powerful, one OTKs, one's Disruption, but both of them require different things. If you've selected Dystopia, do you need to integrate a Destiny Hero search into your normal plays? Will you have enough Destiny Heroes on board and in hand to make Dystopia without searching? Finally, and most importantly, what is your win condition against your opponent's deck? This deck excels at making 3 very specific boards. First is Destiny Hero Plasma and Destiny Hero Dystopia. This is exceptionally strong against decks that specifically need to resolve monster effects in order to win the game. Because Plasma negates them, you might as well have won the game on turn 1. Dystopia is insurance should your opponent attempt to attack Plasma, it's only got 1900 attack after all, as well as Disruption if your opponent tries to mount an offense. The second board this deck can make quite easily is Dystopia plus Dark Law. This is exceptionally powerful against a majority of the metagame. Dystopia can protect your Dark Law, as always, and send opponents' cards from the field to the banished zone. Dark Law punishes searching, and routinely when you make this board, you have the ability to tag into a second one as well. And finally, against back row decks like Altergeist, we've got Acid. Acid setups are extremely easy, but require very dedicated focus. Know what you're going for, and tunnel onto it. With that out of the way, let's take a look at some combos. This first combo is the bread and butter of the deck. It's the general Faris combo. It goes very far, but I'll only be taking you to the point at which it starts diverging. All you need is one Vision Hero Faris and any hero at all. I've chosen Celestial because it's the worst. We're going to activate the effect of Faris, special summoning itself by discarding a copy of Destiny Hero Celestial. Any hero works in this position. Afterwards, we'll activate the effect of Vision Hero Faris to set Vision Hero Increase in our spell and trap card zone. We'll activate the effect of Increase, tributing Vision Hero Faris and sending it to the graveyard in order to special summon a Vision Hero from our deck. We'll choose Vion. When Vion is summoned, it can activate an effect which sends any hero monster from your deck to the graveyard. We'll choose Malicious. We'll activate Vion's second effect, banishing a card from our graveyard in order to add a polymerization to our hand. Next, we're going to perform a Link Summon. We'll link these 2 monsters away in order to link summon a copy of Extra Hero Cross Crusader. When Cross Crusader is summoned, you can target a Destiny Hero monster in your graveyard, in this case Malicious, and special summon it. We'll activate the second effect of Cross Crusader to tribute a Destiny Hero monster and add a monster from our deck to our hand. In this case, we'll pick Dynatag. Next, we'll activate Malicious's Graveyard effect, banishing himself to special summon a Malicious from deck. We'll activate Polymerization, fusing both this Malicious and this Destiny Hero Dynatag for a copy of Destiny Hero Dystopia. Finally, we'll activate the Graveyard effect of Destiny Hero Dynatag to give our Dystopia 1000 attack and defense until the end of our opponent's next turn. Through a singular card and one discard of a hero monster, we've ended on a Drident plus Cross Crusader plus Malicious in Graveyard for further extension. Our second combo ends on the specific board of Plasma plus Destiny Hero Dystopia. For this combo, you'll need Vision Hero Faris, any monster to discard to Vision Hero Faris, and then one of the following: any Spell Searcher, Fusion Destiny, Dynatag, Plasma, Malicious, Shadow Mist, or Stratos. In the interest of having the worst hand possible, let's go with Dynatag. With these three cards in our hand, the first thing we'll do is activate the effect of Vision Hero Faris by discarding Celestial to the graveyard. Next, we'll activate the effect of Vision Hero Faris in order to set an increase to our spell and trap card zone. We'll activate the effect of Increase, tributing this copy of Vision Hero Faris to special summon a Vision Hero monster from our deck. We'll activate Vion's effect to send a copy of Destiny Hero Malicious to the graveyard. Next, we'll activate Vion's second effect in order to banish a Vision Hero Faris and search a Polymerization to our hand. Finally, we're going to Link Summon, just as we did in our previous combo, to get a copy of Extra Hero Cross Crusader to our Extra Monster Zone. We'll trigger the effect of Cross Crusader, special summoning this copy of Malicious, then its second effect, discarding the Malicious in order to get a copy of Elemental Hero Stratos to our hand. Because we have yet to perform our normal summon, we'll normal summon Elemental Hero Stratos and search a copy of Destiny Hero Plasma. Next, we'll activate Malicious's Graveyard effect to special summon a Malicious from our deck. After that, we're going to activate Polymerization, fusing both Dynatag and Malicious in order to make Destiny Hero Dystopia. Next, we're going to activate Malicious's Graveyard effect to search the final Malicious from our deck. Finally, we'll tribute Extra Hero Cross Crusader, Stratos, and Malicious to the graveyard in order to special summon a copy of Destiny Hero Plasma from our hand. Finally, we'll activate from the graveyard the effect of Destiny Hero Dynatag, giving our Dystopia 1000 attack and defense until the end of our opponent's next turn. From here, we've turned off all of our opponent's monsters' activated effects, and we can destroy any individual card they control until next turn. Unfortunately, this is the part of the video where the combos become extremely non-linear. This is a Darklaw plus Dystopia setup, and for this you'll need Faris, and most two-card combinations from this pile and their associated searchers. Basically, you need a way to get Shadow Mist and Malicious into the graveyard with any Destiny hero in your hand, but the cards that perform that action are extremely varied. For simplicity's sake, let's say that we drew a copy of Shadow Mist and a copy of Celestial. These are two exceptionally searchable cards. You, of course, can e-call for Shadow Mist and reinforce them to the army into Celestial. With that, let's get the combo started. With this hand, of course, we will lead with a Faris activation, sending a copy of Shadow Mist to the graveyard. Because we aim to use her second effect later, we won't use the first one now. This allows us to set a Vision Hero Increase, which we will then activate, sending this Faris to the graveyard to special summon a copy of Vion from deck. We'll activate Vion's effect, sending a Malicious to the graveyard, and Vion's second effect, banishing a copy of Vision Hero Faris so we can add a Polymerization to our hand. Next, we'll perform a Link Summon. Are you sick of this play yet? We'll link these two away for a copy of Extra Hero Cross Crusader, then activate that effect, targeting the Malicious in the graveyard, and activate the second effect, sending the Malicious to the graveyard to add a copy of Liquid Soldier to our hand. Next, we will perform our normal summoning Liquid Soldier and targeting the Shadow Mist. When the Shadow Mist is summoned, we'll activate her effect to add a Mask Change to our hand. From here, things get a little dicey. We'll then Link Summon, linking these two monsters away, in order to make Extra Hero Wonder Driver. I like this part of the combo particularly, but it is, of course, completely optional. We'll activate Mask Change, sending our Shadow Mist to the graveyard and foregoing a single search for the ability to trigger Wonder Driver's effect and reset the Mask Change. Next, we'll activate the effect of Malicious in Graveyard, banishing itself for another Malicious, which we will immediately link away with this copy of Wonder Driver to go into a copy of Dread Decimator. Finally, we will banish the final Malicious from graveyard to search the final Malicious from deck and fire off Polymerization, fusing both Malicious and Celestial to go into Dystopia. We'll then activate the effect of Dystopia, doming our opponent for 1600 damage. We've now dealt damage to our opponent, have not only Dark Law, but also an on Dystopia because of Dread Decimator, along with the ability to fire a Mask Change on our opponent's turn once the Dystopia has been used. Finally, even though they're trivial to go into and extremely boring to watch, I'll show you an acid combo. For this combo, all you need is a Vision Hero Faris and any one of these 3 cards. Remember, your goal in most of these combo lines is to get a Malicious and a Shadow Mist in the graveyard at the same time. For simplicity's sake, let's say we drew Shadow Mist. Like most hands, we'll start by activating the effect of Faris, sending this Shadow Mist to the graveyard, not activating the effect because we aim to activate it later. We'll set a copy of Increase to the Spell and Trap card zone before special summoning Increase, tributing this copy of Faris and special summoning a Vion from deck. We'll use Vion's effect in order to send a copy of Malicious to the graveyard, and then the second effect to banish a Faris in order to add a Polymerization to our hand. Hey, you never know what could happen later. Next, we'll perform a Link Summon. We'll go into a copy of Cross Crusader, then trigger the effect of Cross Crusader to get back this copy of Malicious, the other effect of Cross Crusader to tag the Malicious out for a copy of Liquid Soldier. We'll perform a normal summon on Liquid Soldier, targeting this copy of Shadow Mist, and when Shadow Mist is summoned, we'll add a Mask Change to hand. Here's where things get crusty. We'll banish this copy of Malicious for a Malicious from our deck, and we'll perform a Link Summon. We're going to go into a copy of Wonder Driver, then we're going to activate Mask Change, sending this Shadow Mist to the graveyard in order to make a Masked Hero Dark Law. We'll activate the effect of Wonder Driver to reset this copy of Mask Change, then we'll activate the graveyard effect of Destiny Hero Malicious to special summon the last remaining copy from our deck, and perform another Link Summon for Dread Decimator. On our opponent's turn, we're able to activate Mask Change in order to send our copy of Liquid Soldier to the graveyard and make Masked Hero Acid, and it will banish all of our opponent's spell and trap cards. For this part of the video, I'll just be giving you some tips and tricks as to how you can increase your win rate on this deck specifically. First, let's talk about choke points. You've got them, but they are very unintuitive. New opponents, or opponents who are not practiced in the matchup, will assume that the choke points occur where the power lies. Cards like Vision Hero Faris, Extra Hero Cross Crusader, and Fusion Destiny. When in reality, the choke points for your deck are routinely resolving the effect of Malicious, resolving the effect of Stratos, and resolving the effect of Increase. These 3 cards and like options, normal summons like Solid Soldier or Liquid Soldier, are a liability for your deck. So it is in your best interest to use your nonverbal game to misrepresent which ones of them absolutely must resolve. Too often, I see newer players do something like negate the effect of Faris after it's been summoned onto the field. Faris doesn't care if it gets increased to the Spell and Trap card zone. You haven't performed your normal summon. Usually you're discarding a card like Malicious. You're discarding cards like Shadow Mist that plus you into things like Stratos. You can very easily combo off from a position like this just because you've gotten a free special summon. Inversely, activating DD Crow as soon as Malicious goes to the graveyard means that all of a sudden not only is the hero player out multiple summons over the course of the turn, they're also not going to be able to profitably trigger the effect of Cross Crusader and plus even further. Often I see people let Stratos resolve simply because the deck does search multiple times a turn, but often that Stratos search is what finds the Faris in the first place. Remember, the broader the search, the more likely you should probably be stopping it. And finally, while Fusion Destiny is an incredible extender, I see far too many people jumping through hoops in order to negate it. They will get the Dystopia on their side of the field one way or the other. This one at the very least has a Xeno lock and is only an extension. It will only translate to a very slightly bigger board, and that board will be interruptible at other stages which you can take advantage of. Secondly, isolate who the beatdown is in your individual match. Spoiler alert, it will almost always be you. You are going to get outground by almost any meta strategy, and as a result it behooves you to end the game as quickly as possible. Thankfully, Hero has a multitude of options to do that with. Sunriser is an extremely effective OTK tool. Almost any board can make this, provided you have a Stratos search, and all of a sudden you've got material. One Polymerization translates into not only Sunriser, but a Miracle Fusioned monster with a lot of attack points. A Duster Gold, of course, translates into Bane, which can clear the way for almost any OTK imaginable. Honesty Neos represents not only 2,500 damage to your opponent's face, but also a potential Dystopia pop. You haven't lived until you've Dystopia'd over a problematic monster, then popped their last remaining monster with the effect of Dystopia afterwards to get in with a copy of Cross Crusader for lethal. And finally, do not forget your roots. Masked Hero Enki could potentially represent a ton of damage, and in matchups where you've already equalized the board and your opponent is at a very low life total, don't forget he can attack directly. These 4 cards are all searchable extremely easily at any stage in the game. Turns 2 and beyond, don't be afraid to minus yourself to go into game enders instead of artificially extending the game. And finally, a bit of bad news. You're going to lose to Drolan Lockbird a lot. And under this exact circumstance, you'll activate the effect of Stratos, and upon searching a Vision Hero Faris, you will be met with the boy and the bird. Don't worry, you have options. If you've opened any of these packages, you're fine. Fusion Destiny goes into a Dystopia, which is more than enough to survive for a single turn. Mask Change with Vision Hero Faris represents multiple Dark Laws, which actively wins the game, especially versus a 4-card hand in the majority of the meta. Polymerization and any Destiny hero means you'll have access to Dystopia regardless, and Destiny Hero Plasma can be easily made provided you have a Faris in hand. However, often you won't have any of that. Faris will be the only thing between you and the Abyss, and it's going to have to take you home. Usually, when this happens, you'll activate Faris' effect, discarding, just about anything, in order to set a copy of Increase to your side of the field. You'll then activate the effect of Increase, sending this Faris to the graveyard to get a copy of Vion, and use Vion's effect to send a copy of Malicious. You can banish 1 Malicious to search 1 from deck, then link the Malicious, the Vion, and the Increase away for a copy of Dread Decimator. From here, you've got a Dread Decimator with 3,000 attack, a Stratos with 2,300, and the ability to go into an Increase from graveyard should your opponent attack over your monsters. It's not ideal, but it also might just allow you to live until next turn, and with a stocked graveyard and an Increase on your side of the field, it's more than likely you'll be able to bring it back. So with that, let's do a couple of test hands. Oh wow, this is an extremely good one. I mean, we can do just about anything with this hand. The Dynatag complicates things only a very small amount. Alright, provided we're not interrupted, we're going to activate a Hero Lives and take 4,000 points of damage in order to special summon a copy of Elemental Hero Stratos to our side of the field. We'll activate Stratos' effect and get a copy of Faris to our hand. Next, we'll activate Fusion Destiny. We're going to send a copy of Malicious to the graveyard, obviously, alongside a copy of Elemental Hero Shadow Mist, which I have no intention of activating the effect of. That's going to summon a copy of Destiny Hero Dangerous to our side of the field. Oh man, what do I want to do from here? Well, I want the Dynatag in hand because I want the polymerization, so I'll go ahead and fire an E emergency call. That E-Call is going to get us a copy of Liquid. We're going to normal summon Liquid and activate Liquid's effect, targeting the Shadow Mist in grave, in order to trigger Shadow Mist and get a copy of Mask Change to hand. Oh. This is a rough one, but I've got so much going, I think I'm going to go ahead and activate the Faris, sending a copy of Dynatag to the graveyard, in order to fetch a copy of Increase to my Spell and Trap card zone. I'll activate the effect of Increase, sending the Faris, in order to special a Vion, and then I'll use Vion's effect. God, what do I even want in the graveyard at this point? I suppose probably a Celestial. I'll use Vion's second effect, banishing the Faris, in order to add a polymerization to hand. All right, I'm going to perform a link summon. Get a copy of Cross Crusader. Then I'm going to activate the effect of Cross Crusader to bring back Dangerous. Now, unfortunately, our board is just a little too full at this moment, so I'm going to go ahead and tribute Vision Hero Increase, Vision Hero Vion, and Elemental Hero Shadow Mist in order to go into an extremely early Destiny Hero Plasma. Now that we have more monster zones, I'll go ahead and banish this copy of Malicious in order to special a Malicious from deck. From here, I'll activate Polymerization and fuse these two monsters into a copy of Dystopia. Dystopia will trigger. I'll target this copy of Celestial to do 1,600 points of damage to my opponent. I'll banish another Malicious in order to get a Malicious from deck. Then I'll link summon these two monsters away. Oh, I can't. Oh, as much as I want to. Oh, no. Oh, well, that's fine. Instead, I'll link summon these two monsters away to go into a Dread Decimator. Then we can safely mask change into a copy of Darklaw. So, we've got a Destiny Hero Dystopia that's on, a Darklaw that's protected by Dread Decimator, a Plasma that I could have managed the zone of a little better to end up right here, but whose attack we can increase with something like this Dynatag in Graveyard. And then on our next turn, should we so survive, which I have a sneaking suspicion we will, we'll be able to activate the Celestial in Graveyard in order to draw a couple more cards. That was nuts. All right, let's get one more going. Plasma in the opener again, huh? This hand's pretty good. We can make this work, but notably, this is one of those hands that's going to have a very critical choke point that I hope our opponent just doesn't see. Okay. How do we want to do this? I really want to work this out in a way that I get to summon Shadow Mist and find a copy of Faris, but I don't think there's really a way to do it. Too many normals. All right. We'll activate the emergency call in order to get... Oh, you know what? We can probably do it. I'll just cut this one if it doesn't work out. Gonna E-call for Stratos. Then we're going to Rhoda for Solid Soldier. We're gonna normal Solid Soldier and special Shadow Mist. We'll activate Shadow Mist's effect to get a copy of Mask Change. And I think we're just about done summoning things that aren't dark, so let's fire off that Fusion Destiny. We're going to send a copy of Malicious and a copy of Dynatag to the graveyard in order to get our big boy Cross Crusader. Psych. Jumping the gun a little bit on this one. Dystopia, rather. All right. Seems pretty good so far. We'll use Malicious's Grave effect in order to special him. Then we'll link away these two. For the copy of Cross Crusader I erroneously went into earlier, we'll activate Cross Crusader's effect, bringing back Dystopia for good. We'll activate Malicious's effect for another Malicious. And then we'll go ahead and tribute all three of these monsters in order to get a copy of Plasma. Actually, I think a more effective way to do it, even though it telegraphs it very badly, is to tribute Malicious, Solid Soldier, and Cross Crusader for Plasma, and then set a copy of Mask Change so that we can, in our opponent's draw step, flip it in order to get Darklaw. Finally, we're going to go ahead and Dynatag on our copy of Dystopia and pass it to our opponent. During their draw step, we'll activate Mask Change on our Shadow Mist and get ourselves a copy of Darklaw into our extra monster zone. Then we'll trigger the effect of Shadow Mist in Graveyard in order to search a copy of Honesty Neos should any of our 3 monsters get threatened. Huh, that one turned out pretty well too. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you thought of it in the comment section below, what I can improve if I ever do this again, if you would like to see me do it again, and anything I missed or misplays I made over the course of the vid. Thanks for watching.